So welcome to the Mentoring and Leadership Subcommittee, right? The committee subcommittee. And so we are super glad you're here. If you've never been to a meeting before, we are always welcome and want you to know that, please bring friends next time. So what we're going to do today is twofold here with this introduction. I'd like you to do two things. And I'm going to share my screen first. So I'm going to kick Kylie's off. I'm going to bring mine up. And what I have up here is the whiteboard. And on the whiteboard, well, people are still coming in. So I'm going to start with the other side first. So in the chat, what I would like you to do is if your name, oh, look at that. Here I am right now. If your name does not have your full name in it, put your full name in, but I'd also like you to rename yourself and put your state in. So you'll notice that I just changed mine to Lori Cordles, Iowa. So I'd love it if you would change your name to your name and what state you are in, okay? And then in the chat, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to tell us your most favorite part of annual session, or what you're most excited for about this annual session. And maybe it's your first time and you were brave enough to even come to a subcommittee meeting right off the bat on Monday morning. So thank you. But in the chat, what I would like you to do is I would like you to put what you are most excited about in the chat, what you're most excited about in the chat. And then this is also the meeting where we kind of hand off the gavel, so to speak, to the next incoming chairperson. And so I am the past chairperson. This year we have been blessed with Gina Lucas's skills as our chairperson. And so what's going to happen today is our new chairperson, Kylie Sullivan, is going to lead the meeting. But as an opportunity to say thank you to Gina for all the work that she did during the pandemic to get things started, to keep all of us cats on track. She herded us like crazy. She did a fabulous job keeping her little ponies in the corral. How many other word pictures can I give you? This whiteboard is here for you to share a message of outgoing thanks, outgoing, woo woo, whatever you want to say to Gina on this whiteboard. Please feel free to go to your annotate, those little three dots under more, and annotate, and you can text, you can draw her a picture, you can put some stamps on there, you can stamp next to someone else's picture. Yes, Kylie.
As host, could you enable annotating?
Yeah.
that kind of hurts the process a little bit. It's not blank on purpose. We just can't do it yet.
Yes. So so those are the two things we're going to do right now. And I'm going to start to read what people are most excited about in the chat while you all fill in this whiteboard to Gina about appreciating all of the things that she has done this past year. And Gina, you don't get to put anything on the whiteboard because I know what you would put. You'd be like, oh no, it's no big deal. Oh,
I can't figure out how to let people annotate, there's nobody going to be putting anything on the board.
Oh,
where is it?
I can do it. Go to your view options.
I think
there it is. You got it.
I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
So I know what Gina would put on there. Oh, you guys were great to work with. I loved working with you all. I never got frustrated with any of you. She would say things like, I'm so glad you were on my committee and I adore each and every one of you 24/7. So please, please just enjoy this moment, Gina, and let us thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and read some of the chats about the things that you are most excited about. Gina said she's most excited about handing over the gavel. I wish we had a gavel to virtually pass through the screen to the next picture, right? Elizabeth says this is her first annual session. Yay, she's excited to learn more about others, learn more about NEAFCS, learning something new, says Christy. All the professional development to hear what other states have been up to, says Lisa. Thank you. So I'm also forgetting Michigan, Louisiana, Missouri. Lisa's in Illinois. Carrie's in Missouri. She says this is her first annual session as well. And I love that you guys are coming to committee meetings. The keynote speaker, awesome. Meeting others. Yay, James is also new to the conference. Awesome, James. Thanks for being brave enough to show up to a committee meeting. And James is from Ohio. Awesome. So I want you, if you haven't had a chance and you popped in late, to please feel free to just put in the chat what you're most excited about for this conference. And the only guy, you know, actually, James, we have a mentee with our leadership experience. Alex is from Maryland. And so we'll have to get you hooked up with Alex. And so, you know, yeah, he often feels like he's the only guy as well. So we've got some great things here, and I am absolutely going to save this screen, Gina, and I will be sending it to you. And so we appreciate, I know as the, the past chair, I've said this to you. I've said, I could not have been the chair during this past year. My role as the past chair that year, that was exactly what those are where my skills were, setting up the framework. Gina's skills are absolutely moving the chess pieces around, keeping the chess pieces in order. And like I said, you know, keeping all her ponies in the corral, because we ran frequently away from many things. And so, Gina, we appreciate and thank you, and know that you were the right leader for the right time. We also know that you will be hanging out as the past chairperson. And then we have I'm not sure I saw Katrin come in, but we do have our next upcoming chairperson, Katrin. Katrin's from Montana. And so as we look at our year, we're also looking for the next future chairperson. So we like to have this position we call the apprentice. It allows you to kind of hang out in the background for a while. And really get a gist of what we've been doing. I mean, we're all still making it up because this is only at the beginning of our third year, the end of our second year. So with that, Kylie, I will finish this whiteboard, save it, and I will send it back over to you as soon as I'm done. How's that sound? I'll let you keep going though.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the leadership that Lori gave to this committee as it began. Appreciate Gina for really building the plane while it was flying. You know, didn't have much to go on. It was kind of like, what do people think? Okay, this is what we're going to do. And it was fabulous. And we'll talk more about the success of the program for the leadership experience later. It would not be right to have this meeting without a little bit of an acknowledgement and some unfortunate news. We did have a loss in the mentee program. Some of you may have heard this, but for those who haven't, Anastasia Saunders, one of our mentees from Tennessee, passed away from COVID. And so we just want to kind of acknowledge that and say that our thoughts and prayers are with her family, her friends, and her affiliate at this time. And we're devastated to hear that. And we know that for those who are close to her, that this is a hard time. So we want to be respectful to any Tennesseans who may know her, any mentee cohorts who may have been close to her. But I felt like we needed to share that information so that we know we are down a mentee. And Gina, we were going to acknowledge everybody at concurrent session or the opening session. We have a plan for kind of acknowledging that. Is that?
I'm not exactly sure what the official plan is. We're talking, Will and I, about how to address it. I know that it will be put into a newsletter, trying to think of the appropriate way to honor her. And so that conversation is happening.
Thank you.
Excellent. And I do know that Lori Coop, her mentor, would appreciate, just an encouragement. She wants to continue to be part of the mentoring leadership experience. And so we actually do have a plan. There is a mentee. We had a mentor that wasn't able to complete the role. She felt like she wasn't going to be able to complete it. So we're probably going to have Lori jump over and be that mentee's mentor. I did speak with Anastasia's staff partners. There were only 3 of them in the office, and so they appreciate any thoughts that y'all can share. She is from the Tennessee office, and the name is escaping me right now. It starts with an H, but yeah, on Thursday when we acknowledge that, it will just be important to remember that there may be folks from Tennessee that are still feeling that loss. So thank you so much, Kylie, for mentioning that and for that sensitivity.
Yes, thank you, Lori, for mentioning the mentor as well, because they've, had gotten to beginning to know each other. And so we do want to keep that in mind, that will be a tough transition for her. But as you said, kind of I don't want to say silver lining because that's kind of toxic, but that we do have a space for a mentee who needs a mentor and that they can maybe fill that gap now. So that is nice to hear. And yeah, Gina, just let us know how we can be supportive or if you need anything from us, but I'm sure you and Will handle that in a compassionate and way. I mean, we need to acknowledge it and honor her. So I thank you for handling that. Okay. Well, sorry for the kind of downer moment, but just have to handle what we need to handle. So the next thing that we're going to discuss today, I wanted to share something with you all real quick that I did not pull up. So give me 1 second. The committee that had existed, because this is now, the committee, the people that are here, this is brand new. I've seen some new faces and that's so exciting. I'm glad to have you all here. We are going to look at what the committee at the end of this year had considered kind of big picture goals, big dreams, where we would like to see this committee go in the future. So I'm going to bring that up real quick. Okay, so the first thing I want you to take note of is this piece right here. Do I have a pointer? I'm gonna spotlight. Yes, this is what I'm spotlight. Okay, this right here, you can see that. The strategic plan for 21 through 24. That is what NEAFCS, like our umbrella, like the large executive board has determined a strategic plan for the next 3 years, right? And it's starting in 21 from this annual session and moving forward. And we kind of fall under what they have written as goal 5. So build leadership opportunities from within the membership and provide a formal mentorship program. The leadership experience. So we've nailed that. That is our number 1 charge. That's our goal. Next, to work to expand members' opportunities for developing leadership skills, experience, and competence. Invite current members to enroll in and support the newly created mentorship program, and promote personal and professional development of both mentor and mentees. So that's really our job. That's what, when this was created by Roxy, she was president, she had this dream that we would have a mentorship program. Cue Lori, cue Gina, and here we are. So I'm gonna kind of briefly go over what the dream team came up with. So some of this stuff has already been put into the action plan, and we'll see that in a little bit. Some of it may be a little outside our specific charge, and that's fine. We were just kind of throwing things on the wall, at the wall, seeing what sticks. If there's something that sticks out to you, like, yes, that is something that's very important, we need to be doing this, and it doesn't exactly fall in our jurisdiction, so to speak, we encourage you to join those committees too, right? Build a gap, be the liaison. We can work together. We're happy to support each other in these efforts. But really, you know, if it's something that is something that another committee could really take and run with, join that committee, help them, support their ideas, figure out how we can work together. So we have some things up here like applying for awards, potentially someday going through like IRB if we need to do research on the program. That is quite a process, but working on scholarly work, supporting ourselves internally on that effort. Scholarship, publishing about the leadership experience in journals, present at extension conferences. Those are some big ideas that we have there. For funding, to make sure this is sustainable, we want to seek out the endowment funding, which we will talk about later in this meeting. You know, if we had $1 million or if we had no budget, you know, we would pay for mentees to come to session, that we would pay for the registration, all that kind of stuff, that we might someday become a line item in the VP member resources budget overall, and not just apply for the granting kind of funds that they offer. Let's see. Then we had up here, you know, the clarify the mentee target audience is one, expand the mentor side of the leadership experience. We sent leaders of like the FCS program at our affiliates and the universities that our mentees worked at, just a notification that, hey, your employee wasn't chosen and they're part of this wonderful organization, wonderful things are happening. They're an up-and-coming leader, and maybe sending that out earlier, getting that word out to, you know, the higher ups who need to see that kind of stuff. Especially we, you know, I learned myself at the first timers event that we have a committee that is charged with reviewing of like dossiers or for tenure track type people. That is part of the job, and that is part of what we can help support each other in. So if we can get that information into the right hands that, hey, we were selected for something that is a prestigious opportunity in our professional organization, that's awesome. Encourage our VPs, our boards, alumni, people who are life members, for appointed committee positions. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yes. Encourage the NEAFCS board to tap leadership experience alums for appointed committee positions. So it's an opportunity to kind of get your name out there with people that are part of leadership right now. We want our leadership experience alums to seek affiliate offices. We want to make sure that introduce all new members to aspects and elements of the NEAFCS association. Have a feedback group, which we did do, and we'll talk about in a second. Maybe formalizing the names or roles of committee members. So for like marketing, for programming, for evaluation teams, having a little bit more structure around the leadership of those. But we want to retain our culture of flexibility and freedom to contribute. Oops, sorry. Every voice counts. Submit ideas to professional development webinar committee for webinars on different things that would be applicable to people who may be newer to the field, in particular, newer to the field. Why is this not scrolling anymore? There we go. Okay, and then like reaching like high goals, like absolutely like no budget, you know, 10 years down the line. If we had our own like retreat, leadership experience retreat, where it was an in-person conference or getaway, maybe a give back concept, multi-state projects led by our leadership experience mentees and mentors, working together on projects, and then potentially an FCS exchange leadership, FCS extension leadership experience exchange, where people could go to other states, learn more, spend a couple of weeks shadowing or partnering with those in that affiliate. Just an opportunity to see how the other half works, right? One thing you'll learn really quickly working with other extensions across the states and territories. And is there another word? Territories and maybe not, but all of the geographic areas that we cover, everybody does things differently. Not one extension does things the same way. We have different titles, we have different jurisdictions that we cover, we have different categories of programming that we work with. We have different promotion tracks, and it would be an opportunity to see how other folks work. So that was kind of our big goals, like, things we wanted to accomplish in the future, whether it be this year, whether it be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and to varying degrees of possibility or working through. I guess you could say nothing is impossible. It would just take a little bit more logistics and working through the process to get some of these done. But that's kind of where this committee was looking to go in the future. So if that's where we're kind of big picture headed, let me, okay, get that out of the way. No. Okay, and you'll see on the agenda, if you have that pulled up, I had Michelle with nominations of new apprentice. She's our committee, like the member resources committee chair. She's going to be popping into her different committees meetings, and so I just kind of put her on there. Wasn't sure when she'd pop in. I wasn't sure how long different pieces would take, so we will just hand it over to her whenever she arrives. But I'm going to move into the action plan piece. So this is kind of the meat of our day-to-day. Okay. So if you've not been to a committee meeting before, this first one that we do during annual session is known as the action planning meeting. So this is kind of our to-do list, essentially. Thank you, Lori. Okay, so you'll see up there at the top, I have moved into chair now. Chair-elect is Katrin, as Lori mentioned. Again, we'll kind of address the apprentice thing after Miss Michelle Wright gets to speak with us. And then, of course, Gina is now our past chair officially. Oh, hi, Roxy. Roxy is joining us. Before I get started, I'll see if she has anything she would like to. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the group, Roxy, real quick? We're kind of just getting into what our action plan for the next year. Did a little bit of background and history. Not to put you on the spot, but this is your, forever your baby. So if you'd have something you'd like to say to the group, go ahead.
Still tickled pink and on cloud nine at an amazing group. And what I thought was going to come out of this, more came out of it as expected, but an unintended surprise would be just seeing again different personalities, different talents, put those people around a table. You don't necessarily need like-minded individuals, so no matter what your personality, what your talent is, you're wanted, you're needed, and amazing things happen when those people come together. So I'm just excited to see what the future holds. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Roxy. As I mentioned earlier, that she is really the mastermind of creating this committee and this program. So we always want to thank Roxy. Okay, so yep, there's your leadership for the committee this year. Then again, that strategic plan piece. So that's our always our leading goal, right? That's our homing beacon. That's what we're going towards. In the past, we determined that we saw that in kind of 4 steps. That the first step that people needed to go through would be to learn to lead yourself. So that's kind of that introspective self-discovery, strengths, communication skills, that like internal information, development of ourselves. Then we talked about leading others as a family consumer science professional. So team building, leadership, community organizing, some, what's the word I'm looking for? Strategic planning, that kind of thing. Learning to lead within extension. So within your program area, team building, multi-state projects, or within your state, but working on maybe cross-category programming, stuff like that, that would come next. And then last, be learning to lead within NEAFCS as an association. How does it work? What are the roles that are available? How do you get involved? What does it have to offer? And so those were the 4 things that the leadership experience tackled primarily in their first phase. So I guess for anybody who's not familiar with the process, I will kind of break it down a little bit. So and you may have heard this if you were at the first timers event. So I'll try to keep it brief for those who have heard this repeatedly now. The way that the leadership experience went this year, the first thing we did was put our mentees, they applied, they were selected, and then we broke them into 2 cohorts. And then we invited them to come to 4 different professional development days, okay, where we discussed the first day, that leading yourself piece, our communication skills, our personalities, different pieces like that. And then our second day was leading others. Third day was leading with an extension. The 4th day was leading with NEAFCS. And if I may say, that one in particular knocked it out of the park. We talked about the leadership ladder. We talked about our committees. We got to meet the exec board. It was a really very nice session. And so we've done those 4 pieces. And then now they've been matched with their personal mentor. So it's a one-on-one relationship now. And that mentor and then we'll continue to meet about once a month throughout the rest of the year. Well, I do feel like this is a good spot to stop. So we've talked kind of about the history of where the program has been. And so then we can move forward with kind of the plan for next year. But Michelle, I see that you're here right on time. I think I put 11:30, but in my head, I knew time change that I felt like this would be about right. So if we welcome, thank you so much for being here. And if you would like to introduce yourself and maybe talk to us a little bit about what that new apprentice piece will look like for folks, I will hand it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kylie. And good morning to everybody. I'm so sorry that I'm zooming in and out of people's meetings, but that's the way it's going to be. Excited to be here with you today. And most importantly, I love the fact that I get to bring greetings from the rest of the board to y'all. But I want to first start by saying just thank you. Thank you for the tremendous work that you guys have done this year, for all that you've done to springboard NEAFCS into the future. Man, you guys have been busy this year, and you should be extremely proud of all the things that you've done this year. Let me tell you what, leadership experience was a beast, and you guys conquered that beast like it was walk in the park. So congratulations, kudos. I didn't see the backside sometime, but you might have been like, but you didn't look like it in the front side. So congratulations on working hard on that project, because you made it look easy. And I'm looking forward to what's ahead. But Kylie did want me to just briefly share what that apprentice role would actually look like. And whoever actually assumes this role, I like to think of it like in a kid's mind, think of yourself as a sponge, because that's exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be absorbing everything you see and you hear from those who have served prior to you in that role, which have moved up the chain in that particular, as far as the leadership of this particular committee. So when you serve in this capacity, you're just basically preparing yourself to one day take that spot at the top. But most importantly, because you're starting in that apprentice role, you are prepared. You are ready for the challenge, because you have seen and you have done and you have had the chance to work with some phenomenal people who are ahead of you that will also help to guide you in that path. I like to consider it as the best place to start. in your leadership journey. That is, the apprentice is the best and the most phenomenal place to start, because you start from ground zero and you can see the inward workings of the opportunity as well as the outside. So Kylie, I'm hoping that that may give them an idea of what it is, but it's just, you're under the leadership of those who are above you in that, on that ladder. So great place to start.
Okay, thank you. How would you recommend this committee go about selecting that apprentice? Because when I got into leadership, there was about 4 or 5 of us at the table, and we needed about 4 or 5 people in the leadership ranks. So it just kind of happened that somebody raised their hand and we just got written down, essentially. Loved it. A great experience for me. But now that we have kind of a larger group ahead of us, how do you think we should kind of proceed in this?
I think it varies from group to group, from committee to committee. Some people say, like the committee I was just on, they said, we had a couple of people who wanted to do this. We had a person who wanted to do this. So they went with those individuals. Okay, you want to do this? You want to do this? Okay, great. That's it. Some groups, they would say, okay, we would like to nominate someone. We would like to nominate blank, blank, blank for this role, or blank, blank, blank for this role. It just basically goes down to committee preference and passion. That's another thing. If you have individuals who are passionate about being in a particular role, you know that that one person or that individual is going to be committed and dedicated to absolutely fulfilling the roles and responsibilities of that position. So you have a variety, a hodgepodge of different ways that you can decide upon who is going to be what in your committee structure. So do you have volunteers who say, hey, I would love to be the apprentice. I would love to be the chair-elect. I would love, of course, as we said, starting at the bottom is always great, but you might have tenured individuals who've been on this committee who might not have served in any of those roles, who feel, hey, I've been on here for 7 years. I think I could take chair-elect at this point. So it's just personal preference.
Sounds good. So maybe throughout this meeting, if those that are interested in potentially being part of the leadership ladder, the apprentice of this committee, if you want to send a message in the chat, maybe in direct messages, fine, if that feels more comfortable to you, to me, and we'll circle back to that maybe at the end of this meeting to determine how we want to handle that. We have a few more business items that I'd like to just discuss and maybe give people a better idea of what different opportunities there are for our committee. Because part of what I want to try this year, everything is a trial and error. So if it doesn't work, revert back next year, apprentice or chair-elect, like hear me. But I would like to see a little bit more structure in our different working groups, our marketing area, our programming area. And so there was a variety of opportunities for folks to really kind of step into leadership for this committee. So if you are interested in being that apprentice, so it's a couple of years down the line, if you're interested, feel free to put that in the chat to me privately or, regular, if that works for you, that's fine by me. Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Kind of sharing your insight on the process, but also just kind of letting people know what to expect. And we appreciate all the work that you do at your level. So we are one of 4, is that correct? 4 committees under Member Resources Committee. So you've got, I'm testing myself here. You've got the diversity.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's life members, something
Yes.
and life members.
Yes, membership and life members.
Membership and life members, thank you. Of course, leadership and mentoring experience.
Yes.
And there's one more.
Come on.
Is it webinars, professional development? Is that you?
The journal. You have the NEAFCS.
The journal, okay.
You got the journal of NEAFCS.
The journal. I knew it was one of those scholarly angles. So thank you. Did that without notes, clearly. But we appreciate your leadership and guidance. And so for those, who are newer to the committee, Michelle is fabulous. She's our go-to. She's our liaison to the board. When we've needed things in the past, mentors, financial support, she has made it happen for us. And she will be in and out and involved in whatever we need. So Thank you, and
You're
you'll
welcome.
see her around, I promise. So thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's take a look again at this kind of tentative action plan. So this is actually, I've changed my mind. This makes more sense. So before we look at the action plan, which is a kind of our to-do list of what we need to do to accomplish leadership experience for the next year, and any other mentoring components that we may come up with. But I think it's important that we just kind of briefly talk about the feedback that we got from the focus group of the mentee class. Okay, so some of the people on this committee meeting may have been there. Just kind of giving the short version, the programming group, the work group for programming will get the raw data from surveys, from the focus group. They'll have all that to work with. But I think it's important that the majority group get kind of the basic information, okay? So positives. People felt like it was very helpful. If you haven't heard of our statistical results, check out the poster during the excellence, award of excellence piece, because we did what we set out to do. We have moved the needle for people's individual perception of their leadership abilities. And that's wonderful. That's what we were going for. So everybody who is part of this committee in the past should pat themselves on the back because we did it. That's what we were wanting to do. And we're not done yet. That's through their four professional development pieces. And they're just now getting to meet with their mentor. So that one-on-one support, is gonna, I think, just skyrocket their confidence and ability to handle different pieces of extension life. So we are right on the right track overall. This is what people needed. This is what is improving their leadership skills. But like with anything, there's always room to adjust, to make changes in the future. We didn't have a map. We didn't have an instruction sheet. We just did what we thought would be best for this pilot year. And as researchers, as academics, we are always taking in feedback and making changes, right? So some of the things to kind of sum up what the feedback was to revisit for next year would be the structure of the PD days, the timing, the length of it a little bit, but also that they really wished that their mentors had been able to go alongside them. And I've heard from the mentor side that there's been some feedback that, and Michelle, you might be able to attest to this yourself, that they really wanted to know what was going on, what the mentees were learning. And so that was something that we heard quite a bit about, that they wanted to be able to do that together. So with their mentor. Let's see. And that the two cohorts, at the size that we're running right now, didn't necessarily promote closer relationships. They kind of wanted to get to know everybody. They didn't want to be tied down to just their cohort. So that might be something we look at. That also kind of leads into, okay, so that kind of leads into the timing. This last year, what we had done was we matched we selected everybody, we did the PD days, we matched them with their mentor and went on. If we were to have their mentors be part of the professional development, that would kind of essentially flip, right? So we would need to match people and then start our PD days and go from there. Does that make sense to those who've been kind of part of this? That sound right? So based on that feedback, this is kind of the action plan that's running through my head. This is, of course, to be determined, but I think it's easier to edit something that's been started than to just stare at a blank piece of paper. So the action plan, if I can get it to scroll down. Okay.
While you do that, Kylie, I'll just say that Lisa McCoy and I were the evaluators, or we did a little short focus group with the mentors, or with the mentees. And so the information that she's sharing is some that Lisa McCoy and I were able to glean from them. more than half of the mentees came, and they were super supportive of everything that had been done. And oh, okay. And I think that they have some excellent suggestions. So I'm done stealing your meeting.
Oh, no, you're fine. And Lisa, did you have anything to add?
No, I think she summed it up well. So nothing more.
Okay. I probably could have
Thanks.
like had you guys do it, but as I was like putting that in agenda, I was like, let's not just spring this on them. So I read through what you sent. I appreciate that. So yes,
Thanks.
definitely wonderful. And if I'll steal my own meeting and say that they did a wonderful job of conducting that focus group. So for those who don't know, I actually was part of I am part of the leadership experience. I'm a mentee. Thought it'd be a great practice to be from the apply and see what happens and get experience from the inside. And it was wonderful. And Lisa and Lori did a wonderful job with the focus group. How you can do such an anonymous online process was amazing to me. I mean, we changed our names, we took down our pictures. It was phenomenal. We put everything in the chat so you can't, it really increased our comfort. And so I thought that was phenomenal planning. So if you are doing your own research or your own work at your own state, I'm going to suggest you reach out to Lori and Lisa to learn about this process. This is all about networking and building relationships. So if you need help with any kind of feedback process, they are your go-to gals. Okay. Thank you, ladies, so much. Okay. So first thing is our monthly meetings. So this committee has what we call like kind of a standing committee meeting. It has historically been on the first Tuesday, 2 to about 3:30 Central Time. I personally don't have any reason to really change that. I think it's been working for those who have been part of the committee. So that's kind of what it will be. We, are happy to record that. The key to and I'm taking a lot of stuff from Michelle. This is good for you to hear from the committee training webinar, for lack of a better term, had some excellent suggestions, excellent some thoughts, and I'm definitely going to be incorporating some of these things that they encouraged us to do. And so this meeting, I really hope to be more of a updates. So hearing from each person in charge of a working group and just kind of like letting that go. That would be less I don't want to say that. I don't want to say less work because that doesn't sound right, but I don't really want to be doing too much during that meeting. I want it to be reporting out and next steps. Okay, what do you need from me as the chair, and going from there. And we'll have more of our boots on the ground meetings where we're getting it done, right? Editing things and sending things out at each specific work group meeting. So save Tuesdays. First Tuesday, 2 to 3:30 on your calendar if you can. This will be the new meeting link. It is mine, so it's a system still because Gina was, Missouri as well. So this will be the new information. I'm happy to copy that and put it in the chat. I think that works, right? Can I do that? To everyone in the meeting. Yes, that's where I wanted to go. Hey, looky there. There is your monthly meeting. And of course, it'll be sent out again, but there it is for you. And then I want to try something different. We'll come back to this at the end when we do signups. So for those who have been part of the committee before, you know that we generally ask, what do you want to be involved in? Kylie needs a more visual way of managing that. So I'm going to try something new. And y'all will tell me at the end of this meeting how that works for you. We'll go from there. So this is kind of getting to our to-do list. So one of the first things is an opportunity for the JSEP request for proposals has come out, and it is due fairly quickly, but that will be an opportunity that folks can get involved in. We've had suggestions of how different pieces of our committee members' work could be used in the how-tos or the training, I think is the other term they use. And they have a poster session. And guess what? We have a poster that is that is well done and kind of ready to go.
Oh, it's
and
just super amazing. It's not well done. It's super amazing.
thank you, Lori. You're right. Absolutely. Put those words in my mouth. This is recorded, so I'm gonna. We have a freaking awesome poster that was put on by this committee and is again at NEAFCS. They call it it's something. What do they call it? This Showcase of Excellence. That's the word I'm looking for. So on your program, if you see Showcase of Excellence, check out our poster. And so that would just be an opportunity that we could share what the leadership experience has been about, how NEAFCS has conducted that. So if you are interested in helping with that, that will be an opportunity to sign up. We are going to, I'm going to change this. I found a better way, I think, than a meeting. I'm one of those that I'll just throw it out there. If it can be an email or it can be something that's like a flipped classroom model where you do the activity before you meet together, I'm kind of a big fan of that. I will just put that out there. So for people, I know everybody's got different leadership styles. For those who are kind of like cringed by that, I'm sorry, it'll be a year and then maybe the next person will do something different, but that's kind of my process. So we'll talk about that in just a second. We're actually, we're going to work on that today and then up until the December meeting. We will hit the ground running with marketing efforts, letting people know that the application will be coming out. I kind of tentatively put Lisa P there because Lisa Peterson has been our marketing guru. Not to say that she has to continue in the role that she's been doing, but if she wants to, that would be awesome. Then we have our endowment application. So that is for funding. And I will help be in charge of that. It's due the 31st, according to my research of January. It was suggested, one of the things I think was on the Dream Team page was talking about impact and how particularly presenters during the leadership experience, professional development days, or mentors, the mentees, how we could show impact for the time that we spent on this program, this project, the committee members, everybody really. And so if we want to work on creating some impact statements, I put January 31st. I believe that's when NEAFCSs are due in general. So I thought that timeline would make sense, but that way people could be getting them out with their annual reports. I know they're usually due end of January, beginning of February in there. So if that's something that you would be interested in doing, even if you weren't part of this, let me be clear, even if you weren't part of the committee before this, you can absolutely help us create this, right? Like, so don't feel like there's nothing you can't jump in on. Okay, I just want to be very clear about that. The endowment application is brand new. The marketing committee is always looking for ways to update. I believe they're doing a whole survey on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, I'm looking at you. Well, actually, I can't see you. Now I'm looking at you. A survey on what pieces of marketing were really that impactful. So that will be great. And based on the results of that, we may be going in totally different directions. So you've got new ideas, bring them to the marketing subcommittee. The impact statements, again, like I said, you didn't have to be a part of it to help us write them. And if you've never written them before, great practice writing them. So this is going to be a wide variety of opportunities that people have. We'll release the application probably, this is all tentative. It could change probably around February 1. We will be having, oh yes, apply for the concurrent session and or poster for NEAFCS. I feel it's because this is such a late conference, but that feels really soon after just having gotten done with this one. But it's true, they ask for their applications pretty early in the year. So I have that on there so that we don't forget. We'll want to apply for a session, maybe again a poster. We might have some more longitudinal-ish. I think that's probably supposed to be multi-year, but we'll have more data to go towards the poster for next year. So that's exciting. We may apply for an award. So you can sign up to help us write that. Okay. The applications for mentees will probably be due around March 15th. That's the same due date as like the awards applications. I think it's nice to have one due date for multiple things, that sticks in the brain better, to me at least. And then we'll start planning. This is not necessarily when we will start planning the mentee cohort meetings, but based on feedback, that programming group to be led by somebody. So if you want to step up to be any of these question marks, or if Lisa, if you do not want to be kind of head of marketing, I respect that. Let me know. Put that in the chat message to me if you are willing to be a part of that. Otherwise, it'll be when that group meets together, we just kind of determine who wants to start leading that meeting, who wants to jump in. And so what I imagine based on our feedback would be that we would have kind of the summer to finalize planning this, and the PD days would really start in like October. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So they would go through the year. Instead of 4 for like 4 hours, it would be like 8 for 2 was kind of the suggestion that that the mentees had. They felt like 4 hours was kind of a lot, and that they were kind of fading by the time they would get to the 4th session. So if we did spread it out, we're 8 to 2, 8 meetings, 2 hours, and they could be meeting with their mentor prior to that over the summer. They could be meeting with them concurrently as after a PD day, like, hey, what did you think about that? Let's talk about that. How can you incorporate that into your day-to-day role? And then we'd be going from there. So it would really it would drastically change the schedule, but I think it gives us a lot more time to plan the programming days for sure, and to request proposals, because I think that was a great opportunity. I really do, for people on our committee and people in our association to present to the leadership experience. But it gives us a little bit bigger of a window to figure out what we want them to apply for, what topics we want them to apply for, to decide who's going to do what, to let them know so they can get on their calendar. I think it would just give us a little bit more time that way, and then meets that feedback need of being with their mentor throughout kind of the whole process. Does that make sense to folks? Does that sound like what? Okay, I'm kind of clicking through to try to see the nodders as I get through your faces. Okay.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Thank you. Okay. And for anybody who has popped in, Haley, I saw you. Welcome. Thank you. And we've been recording up through this. So, and anybody who's not here today who wants to be part of this committee, your friends, if you're like, hey, so-and-so should be here, absolutely invite them to the next one. No harm, no foul. Jump in anytime. Okay. Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate you being here. So yeah, so that's kind of as far as I've got ideas planned. Call for proposals for the cohorts, do, beginning of the summer. Then we would match mentors and mentees right away, and do their mentor training, because I think that was valuable. Lori is kind of our mentor guru at this moment, so that seemed to be very important to them, to give them some guidance. And then we would kind of they would kind of become a joint pair around, I envision, around annual session, because the next year's annual session is actually like the September 12th through the 15th. It's fairly early. So they could kind of meet around that time, get to know one another, and start meeting like in October with the professional development. So I know I've talked at you guys a lot right now. Does that make sense for those who've been part of this? Am I missing anything major that's due right away? What are your thoughts? Give me some feedback here.
So I think what I heard you say is that essentially, people would be signing up for their subcommittees, and then the subcommittees would be diving into some of the ideas that the mentees and the mentors gave as far as tweaks and adjustments to the program.
Yes, that's what I visualize. Okay, and I just saw in the chat about, yes, great point. Roxy asked about the members click system, and I'm happy we can run through that at the end. That's a great idea. So without further ado, I guess since we've been talking about, I'm sorry, I'm kind of adjusting my agenda as I go. But everything we talk about is going to be on there. I just kind of go with my flow. So since we've been talking about these subgroups, I want to go ahead and show you this document. I'm going to put it in the chat. So you can go there yourselves, and I'll share it as well. Oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Dang it. Okay. Control C. Control V. Okay, so head to that Google Doc. And I think it should be open so that people would have access to it. But if that's a problem, let me know. And I know that some universities are doing different things about, oh, hold on, like security and all that jazz. So it looks like, oh, okay, I know what I did. Okay. I would say it looks like Lori was giving me a thumbs up like she got in, and then all of a sudden I couldn't get in. And that was ironic.
Yeah, I think you just have to switch it to, I have view only.
Mine, oh, you have view only? Okay. I think I accidentally copied the A part as well and not just the, there we go, the link. Okay. So let me share my screen now that I've got it pulled up, and we'll walk through this together. So this is a living document. It is a Google document. So I see people on there, so that's great. And so it sounds like people maybe won't be able to edit on your own. Can people try to add their name and their email? Did that work? That didn't work for you?
Yeah, mine was a view only as well, Kylie.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. I will figure out how to adjust the settings of that. That's not what I want. Sorry, your faces are in the way. There we go.
There you go.
So anyone with the link can
There you go.
edit.
There you
Okay.
go.
Let's do that, and you might have to refresh, but let's see if that works for folks. I apologize. I'm not, oh, Lori, perfect. Oh, Haley, got it. Okay, I love it. Thank you so much. This will be kind of the living document, all right? I would love to have people's contact information just right here. Members Click, which we will talk about, is the website for NEAFCS. It is fabulous. There are just sometimes a few hiccups of getting people's like emails and that kind of thing. I think having it on one spreadsheet that everybody in the committee can access will be very helpful. So yes, your name, your email, that's fabulous. And then you'll see across the top here, marketing, award, impact statement. These are kind of those working groups or those subcommittees that I've been talking about. And as we need to, we will add them. There are a plethora, okay? So if something interests you, I want you to put an X, just like I did. Put an X. I see people are doing it. Thank you. And that will tell anybody. So I'm gonna pick on Lisa because I'm really low key hoping she will agree to still like be the marketing queen that she is. So no pressure, and I really do mean that. But I am gonna keep pressure.
It makes it easy.
So,
we're just gonna tweak the wheel a little bit. So no worries.
Perfect. So like Lisa could come in here and see, oh, these 4 or 5 people who are interested in marketing. I can take their emails and I can directly email them about a meeting. I can email them a document for edits. I know who I'm talking with at any point. Okay. And as people join the committee and they say, well, and I will delete columns when we're done with them, right? So if impact statements get done in January, then they just thank you for your time, work group, and you're done. And we'll replace it with something else that needs to be done upcoming. And so people can join at any time and they'll be included in that group. So it has been suggested, and I feel like this kind of goes along with what they were saying in the, I referenced it earlier, the committee kind of training that they did would be to have a few more standing meetings. So if, again, Lisa decides that she just wants to do marketing meetings onto the first Tuesday in the morning, so then you are prepared to meet that afternoon with your update. If that's what works for you and that team, you could just decide that's when you're going to do it. I know that the flexibility is great, but our jobs are just so fluid that it's hard to say when you're going to be available, or if enough people do a doodle in enough time to meet it. But as we kind of go into plan of work time, if you could maybe schedule and expect that if I can avoid programming on Tuesday mornings because I want to be part of that marketing meeting, that may work better for folks. What do people think about that? I'm see a thumbs up. Other thoughts? I want to hear from folks. What do you think? Would that be better for your schedule?
I think especially those teams that, have upcoming deadlines, let's get those meetings on, the JSEP ELC proposal, an award or an impact statement. That way, getting those meetings on the calendar is important. And then from then on, you can say, okay, then here's our recurring meeting. And, being able to also just have those to share out for future members. Okay, these are the dates that these subcommittee meetings happen. Then they might choose to join that subcommittee because those dates work for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Roxy put in their calendar invites are amazing. And so that would kind of allow whoever, myself for big overall things or pieces I'm a part of, I have no problem with kind of doing that. But that would allow, like Lisa, you could send out a calendar invite for that or update an agenda. They talked in the committee training about trying to have an agenda and letting people know what they can do to prepare for it. So like that flipped classroom model, like if you want something edited so that you can just finalize it during your meeting, sending it out ahead of time, like, hey, at this meeting, we will be deciding on X, Y, and Z, and that allows people, if they're not gonna be able to make it, send an email with their thoughts or their edits ahead of time or something like that. The only way I can get anywhere. Yes.
Yeah.
I relate so hard to that. We went and got our marriage license this morning, and you know how difficult it was to find a time that the two of us could be at the courthouse at the same time.
Yeah.
You would think we shouldn't get married because do you ever spend time with each other? We do, just not between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. So.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So great. I'm glad this is working for folks. And so this would be something that they can join anytime. I will add this link to a document in Members Click, which we will talk about. And so it's living. And if you want to at any time take your name off the X, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like you can be part of whatever works for you at that time. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? I know I'm probably really overwhelming the new people, and I apologize. We will work through it together. When you join your smaller work groups, it makes sense to just kind of ease into it. I invite you just to pop into one or two and see what works for you. And we will have a little bit of social time at the end. I'm one of those that I like to get business taken care of, and then we can mix and mingle. I think we'll have time with what our agenda looks like to do a little bit of that at the end. So that's just a Kylie process. So I hope y'all roll with it. Thank you for filling this out. I greatly appreciate it. The next thing I want to show you is, again, kind of that flipped classroom model. So it's something that we can be working on at any time. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to do it now, but as you think of things, feel free to add them in. If you haven't used a Padlet before, okay, so Padlet is an anonymous, I set it up to be anonymous. It's an application, and for the record, it's great to use with programming too, or your community strategic planning meetings, coalitions, that kind of thing. So I'm going to drop this in the chat as well. And you can head on over there and I will meet you.
Aw, pretty.
Yes, I chose fall just because I thought that was kind of cute. The leaves are changing. So if you go down to your right hand corner, it's a plus sign and it becomes a pencil. You click on that. You can type, and I'm just gonna say hi. And then there's a publish that pops up. And it's like a sticky note, essentially. It's a sticky note on the wall. And if you have any feedback from the committee on how you want the committee to function, so something about me and how I could run it, or run it sounds kind of bad, but how I could lead us differently, feel free to put that on there. You could even put like Kylie in parentheses. So I'm like, oh, that's about me. Or about how the leadership experience went. If there was something that you picked up on that you think like the programming team could do differently or the evaluation team could do differently, matching, if there was a something about the matching that went one way this last year and you think could be improved, write that down for me and then you'll hit share. And like I said, it should be anonymous. You can also upvote if it's something that you like and something you agree with. Instead of typing it multiple times, you can just kind of okay, thank you. So see, people are working, so it looks like it's working. Okay, that's great. Okay, like a group project. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Just add your thoughts. It's again anonymous. I saw Debbie popped in. Hi, Debbie. We have been recording, so you can catch up at any time, but we're just right now giving our feedback on what we would like to see different, either from me as we lead, you know, any insight you have for me as we go forward, or the leadership experience itself. Setting timelines, deadlines right away. Okay, moving to professional developments later in the year. Okay, and I see some upvotes. It looks like, so that's good. Oh yeah. Okay. Doodle polls to identify the best time. Okay. The only thing I don't like is that it will hop around as people add things because I'm like, I'm trying to read everything. So I'll give us, let's see, it's 11:08. I'll give you about 2 more minutes so we can do this. And again, for those who weren't part of it, I know that you don't have much feedback, but maybe if you have thoughts on things that are done in your state as far as a mentor program or things that you've been a part of in the past, if there's anything that we've talked about thus far, if you have opinion on setting meetings versus trying to just find the time each time, if you have an opinion on what it sounds like mentors and mentees being part of the process from the get-go and then going through the year, feel free to throw it out there. You know, there's no bad idea. Oh, that's cool. I like the committee sign up sheet so we can see who's on committees. I saw that my mentee signed up for the same committee. Oh, how cute. I'm so excited for you. Learn committee members' personality traits. Encouraging all committee members to take on a piece of the puzzle. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do what feels comfortable to you, but do something. I love that. Do an orientation for the mentors and mentees if going to do it together. Okay. And if I'm not reading yours, it's not having the set group meetings. Okay. Okay. I'm not trying to pick and choose. I'm just, like I said, they move around. So it's whatever I happen to see. Having the smaller subgroups seem efficient and systematic. Setting deadlines, times right away. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, I have it 11:10. This also is a living document. We can come back to this anytime. Trust me, especially after this meeting, feel free to put the stuff that's like kind of directly towards me or anything. I will be checking this probably unhealthily to make sure that I'm doing things that people feel like I should be doing. But again, like for the programming group, I really see them taking this, and we might even revisit it again closer to time or create a whole nother one after we've kind of gotten into the process that allows people to give their feedback, or after the programming team sees the evaluation forms from each committee or each professional development day, after they've seen the overall surveys results. We might have more thoughts. So this is not going anywhere. And like you said, you can join it anytime. If something occurs to you at 10 o'clock tonight, I really hope you're in bed instead of working. But if it happens, you could log in and do it. Okay. So let me check where I'm at. Okay, wonderful. So I have about 11:11 and this meeting is until noon. And so I think first, let me ask, is there any pressing business that anybody else has come up with? Any questions you have that are burning? Things that we need to talk about, things that I missed on the action plan that need to be addressed quickly and early. Anything like that. I'm going to stop share and just look at people's faces. Anything that for the good of the cause that people need to share.
I'll share
911.
something.
Okay, thank you.
It's not, it's kind of a little off topic, but I did just send an email out to those who are doing the poster session, and I might be able to share it here. But you can see the virtual for those who are our mentors and mentees. See if I can put it in the chat box. I have the poster. Oopsie, that was a direct message. Sorry, hang on. There.
Love those. That is the one thing about the chat. I like having direct messages, but why it always assumes you want to direct message again bothers me.
Yep.
Like when I'm teaching and somebody has like a tech issue or anything like that, I'm like, I need to talk to everybody.
But anyway, I sent in the binder. So what the binder looked like all put together and what would be shared. It would have been in person where you could flip through it, but being more virtual, I'm gonna make sure that works. So
Yes, I'm seeing it. I'm flipping. I love it.
Okay.
And so for those who are new to the committee, this is the stuff we went over in our PD days. So if you kind of want an idea of what was discussed, and also, hey, Lori, mentors may like to be able to kind of flip through this to have an idea of what their mentees saw, since that was kind of a comment that's been made that like having that shared experience, shared information would be good. So they might appreciate that link. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, could you share it again? I didn't get it.
Yeah, hang on. Let's try this again. Make sure I'm sharing to everyone again. Okay. Okay, there we go.
So good. So good. So good.
Right. So I will say that I have not personally received any messages about being apprentice. So I will put a pin in that for now and encourage folks to kind of let that sink in during this session or annual session. Kind of let that marinate a little bit. And if you don't feel comfortable right now, if you want to talk about what it means, get some insight, reach out to anybody. Lori's rolling off the board. Gina is past president, past chair, sorry, exec board committees,
Yeah.
Ask myself what would be expected or anything like that. If you're in the leadership experience, ask your mentor, some suggestions or advice about taking this plunge. And then we'll make it happen in the December meeting. So our first meeting will be the December. So the first full committee meeting, that standing meeting, will be the first Tuesday of December, which is the 7th at 2:00. So have your recommendations. I'll take nominations from other folks and we'll check in with them. If you think you know somebody who'd be good for this position to become the apprentice, again, it's a kind of a few years down the line. But if you'd be interested in that role, let me know and we will make that decision. I think I do have to turn it in to national by the end of December. But I think we would have time at that December meeting to really finalize that. So I'm going to just put that out there, even if you're new, you have years to figure it out. I would not have been ready to do it when Gina did. Gina stepped in and was like, there. Sorry, Roxy, 2 p.m. Central.
I'm
2 p.m.
thinking that we should just throw some people under the bus. Like, I think that Debbie would be great. Lisa would be great. Haley would be great. Joy would be great. These are the 4 people who have been at every meeting that we've had since the beginning. And so I would say out of you 4, who absolutely will not, and then we'll figure out who would. But I think that personally, these guys have the most knowledge of everything that we have done from the beginning, because they've been to everything. And so I would nominate any of those 4 without a doubt.
Okay, thank you, Gina. See, so you have officially been nominated. I did receive an acceptance of a nomination, but I don't want to just make an executive decision at the second. So I'm going to let people marinate on that. I don't even know that Haley or Debbie were here when we first brought this up. So I'm going to give people a chance to keep letting me know, think on it, and we'll address that officially December 7th. And yes, Roxy, thank you for pointing that out. I thank you. Haley accepts the nomination as well as Joy. So people, we can work this out. Other people, feel free to throw your names out.
Good job, guys. Yay.
Disclaimer across the board from today and forever. This is being recorded, so you will know. I am terrible at time zones. I think that the central time zone is the only one that exists, apparently. So when I say a time, it is probably a 99.9% of the time it is central, because I just am an egocentric child who apparently never got out of that development part. I'm a family development person, can you tell? So I just think of central time as the end all be all. Feel free to always check with me, always confirm. This annual session being in Eastern has killed me. I suffered last year in Mountain Time. This year I was convinced it was going to be Central because it's Michigan, it's right there. No, Grand Rapids is Eastern. So I have tried really hard during this annual session to acknowledge the session and poster and all of that being in Eastern. So I've tried really hard for this to be clear that it's Eastern times, but for the record, I just stink at that and I will call it Central Time a lot. Okay, and Debbie has declined as being part of the leadership. That's totally fine. We know that we will be able to look to you for your advice and wisdom and all the time. So thank you very much. Okay. With that all being said, I will put that on the agenda to clarify first thing, December 7th. I would also, we've got about 2 minutes to 11:20. I would like this to be, now that we've taken care of everything we need to, a little bit of get to know you time. So we've got some new faces, so that's fantastic. I'm glad to have you here. Let's see, how many? We've got about 14. And I think we have the time. We'll just kind of big group. And Gina, you could probably stop recording at this point. I don't know that anybody who watches it would be interested in seeing this. I don't know. What do people think?